Good evening. Today is Thursday, March 21st, 2024. Welcome to the monthly Board of Directors meeting. Tonight in attendance, we have David Clayton, Jody McClellan, Ann McCabe, Jillian Ward, Jan Weeson, and Donna Sims, and myself, Susan Byrne. We are in the open portion of our meeting, and the first topic is the February 2024 Treasurer's Report, handled by our Treasurer, Jody McClellan.
Thanks, Susan. I'm gonna go over our accounts and just give the balances real quick, and then I'll get into some open items from last month. Our checking account is currently sitting at $178,524. Our savings is $25,804. Our AEMD funds are $33,293. Our foundation account is at $41,337. And the 2023 Nationals account is at $28,555. So last month, I mentioned there was a concern with the budget that we had overlooked the monthly computer IT type of fees that are paid by the office. And I was able to shift some things around. And let me back up a little bit. Some of this is also getting used to working with our bookkeeper and having everything in QuickBooks. And he's adjusted a couple of things. So we're learning each other a little bit and where things are going. So there will be consistent changes in names sometimes, but we'll get it all ironed out as we smooth through our budget and he learns to work with some of our wording and venues and all the fees that we deal with. So that being said, we originally had the computer set aside for labor to hire somebody to handle our computer system. And we had that money set aside at, we had it at $46,000 to pay that individual over the year. And I've left that there, that $46,000, but I've added $8,400 to that portion for a total of $54,400 in the budget. And that $8,400 came from the interest on the loan that was paid off in 2023. So we were able to shift that $8,400 into what I'm now referring to as computer/labor. And this will be for our computer programmer when she comes on board, or whoever comes on board. I've also split up, we had set aside what we thought we were doing for contract labor, when in fact, this goes to the bookkeeper. The only thing that falls under contract labor is our lawn care at the office. And so I was able to take what we had originally budgeted $37,500 for contract labor. I left $2,500 there to cover that fee. That gave me $35,000. And I put that into what I'm now labeling as computer IT, which is the monthly budget for the office, and that goes there. In addition to that $35,000, I also took $60,000 from the budgeted amount that we had set aside for the loan. And so we now have enough in what I'm calling the computer IT at $95,000. That should cover our yearly computer expenses at the office. So we have covered everything that I mentioned last month. Per last month meeting as well, the paperwork for the Vanguard accounts are in my possession. We need signatures on them, and instead of trying to email and DocuSign back and forth, I'm just going to take them all down to the spring meeting where everybody will be, so we can all get the signatures. We can get the paperwork sent in. If there's anything needed, we can address it at the spring meeting. So the accounts should be open in just a couple of weeks, in which we will then deposit some money and start earning some interest on some of our accounts. And then finally, I would like to suggest that we take $50,000 from the checking account, which again is currently sitting at 178,000. I would like to suggest that we take 50,000 and move it into our savings account, which would bring that up to about 75,000. And that is the report. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, then I move to accept this treasury report for February.
I'll second. It's Jill.
Thank you, Jillian. Thanks, Jillian. Okay, we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented with a second from Jody and a second by Jillian. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions?
Aye.
Thank you, Jody. Okay, motion carries. Treasurer's report is approved as submitted. Okay, doke. The next item on our agenda for this evening is our request for a redesignation of our IRS status from our current 501c7 and requesting a change to a 501c4 organization. I received a phone call on Monday, just this past Monday, which would be the 18th, from an IRS employee, and she did not give me her title. However, she called to notify me that our application to whatever request a change in our status was denied. And that was because we as an organization do not qualify as a C4 because we do not serve the community in general. That the community that we serve is very limited. She let me know that we have two options and that all of this notification would be forthcoming in physical letters from the IRS. And I kind of had to chuckle because you all know the difficulties we've had with the mail service at the business office. There are two options will be to withdraw the application, or once we receive the formal notification from the IRS, there are steps in there if we wish to resubmit an application and basically refute the denial. And honestly, at this stage of the game, I don't know what those requirements are going to be. And my thought process is if they denied us once, what makes me think that they wouldn't deny us the second time, especially given the reasoning that they denied us in the first place. That's what I know. Once we receive the physical documentation, I'm hoping that we will have more information. And if we can make a choice at that time, if we simply wish to withdraw our application for the redesignation, or if we wish to resubmit and hope that we could substantiate our rationale for the request for the redesignation. So I wanted you guys to all know about that. And that was all I have for that topic. The next item on the agenda is our system liaisons report, and that would be Mr. Clayton.
Okay, thanks so much. Well, the good news is Veronica is on board and they have started working on the various projects. So the top things that they're doing at this point is testing some of the system to make sure that it does in fact work. And the final work that Inventive did is is safe and secure and does work properly. So the top 5 things that they're working on right now, because these are the biggest problems that they have identified, are not being able to use the credit card via phone, portal setup, portal account setup. And right now there is a problem for anyone who is trying to do registration online. It's a generic form and they can't really see what they're signing. So they're trying to solve that. Also, litter payment and status is not being shown as paid. So they're trying to address that. And they're also trying to address the fact that people can't register for a QT account. So Heidi is working closely, as well as the entire IT committee, and they're very active at this point, which is awesome. But things are, as they work through one program or one problem, they can move on to the next. But they're working on as many issues as they possibly can and making sure the system doesn't break. So that's some exciting news. It's, I'm sure, slower than some people would like, but it's good progress.
Absolutely. Thank you, David. Does anybody have any questions or concerns regarding what's currently in the pipeline with that?
I don't have any concerns necessarily, because I've been following. I just want to say that I'm really impressed with the way that that she's jumped right in and being able to explain all the details to our current IT committee, and that they're really prioritizing, and that I'm really excited that stuff is going to start happening. So I think they're doing an amazing job. I think bringing her on was a wonderful idea, and I really look forward to getting this stuff taken care of. I'm really excited that it's going to happen, because I think it is. Thanks.
Thank you, Anne. Anybody else have a comment or question or concern regarding this? Okay, and David, please pass our thanks on to the entire committee, and especially with our contract laborer, that she was actually willing to step back into this role, because I do feel like this was a very good step in the right direction. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I most certainly will.
Thank you so much. Okay, Jillian, you have the next item on the agenda. Would you like to address that still, or would you like to postpone that?
I think, well, yes and no. Just bear in mind, when up until today, I had been informed previously by a board member that our consultant was not going to be moving forward with us, because there was a concern about working with the payment party. So that's why I asked for this to be put on the agenda. But if she's moving forward, then that's great. I just want to make sure that the issue that happened to me was I received an email requesting me to sign as a co-owner on a litter, and I didn't know what it was for. I don't know anybody that had a litter that I co-own with. And so through a chain of emails between our webmaster and our assistant office manager, they informed me that they really couldn't tell me who the litter owner was. They didn't have that information. What was concerning to me is less about that, but more about the text that is involved when you sign. And it's basically, there's some legal parameters in that you are signing for data that you don't have. So that was my concern, that ASCA is actually asking. I understand that there's the portal problem, and we're working on it. But in the meantime, I would like to ask David if you can ask the IT department to look at the text that is being published, asking someone to sign for in the interim, because I think it's a bit of a liability issue. So I won't go into further detail. If you need it, I'll send you some screenshots, Dave.
The
Great.
screenshot would be useful because that way I can send that back. You know, it seems like the basic solution is until we can resolve some of these structural issues for litters and things, that those particular emails should not go out with those forms.
I agree. And that was really the reason I was bringing it forward, because if this hasn't happened to you, you probably have not received the, you know, the verbiage in which you are indemnifying ASCA and you are agreeing to some things. So if you haven't been in my shoes, I wouldn't have read this had the email not been sent to me. So the board may be aware of, you know, the overall problem, but I doubt you're aware of the very specific aspects of it. So I sent screenshots, David, and I'll send those to you. I'd appreciate it. It's a good mindset to cease sending them until we get this resolved. And sadly, maybe having to go back to hard copy in the interim.
Yeah, I'm old school, so hard copies aren't a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And thank you, Jillian. And you did touch on one topic. We had lined up this contract laborer with one payment company and had gone through the onboarding process with that company, only to find out probably a week to 10 days after that onboarding process had occurred that the contracted laborer was not comfortable dealing with that company, the payment company. And of course, this is being handled abroad. So I think that just heightens the concern potentially there. As it turns out, a second company was contacted, got everything on board, and they were able to move very quickly with the company that was an acceptable payment company for the contracted labor. So just to kind of clear the water there, if there was, seems like there could have been a little bit of muddy water there. And so that does appear to be all taken care of, and everyone seems to be very comfortable with the situation. And of course, it definitely went through the attorney to make sure that we were all above board and everything was being taken care of correctly, all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed. So that will bring us to our last item on the agenda for this evening's meeting, and that will be last month's email business. I'd like to request a motion to approve that from anyone.
I so
This
moved,
is
David.
Donna. Oh, go ahead, David. I'll second it.
Snuck by.
Perfect. Okay, so we have a motion from David to approve February's email business. Donna has seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Very well, motion carries. Okay, that concludes our meeting for this evening. I'd like to thank all of the members for tuning in to listen to the monthly meeting. I will also take this opportunity to once again reiterate, there are some fishing and farming scams going out there. please, 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 if you are the recipient of one of these emails saying that Susan Byrne is requesting XYZ and because Jody McClellan, the treasurer, is not available, do not fall prey to these scams. Please always take the time to check the initiating email address. I can guarantee you it will not be one of your ASCA Board of Directors members making those requests. So somebody actually almost was totally taken on Monday. I received a phone call from one of our committee members that had taken this as a serious request from me, and it absolutely was not. So with that being said, thank you all for your time this evening. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a beautiful weekend. And I'll see all of the boards of directors members in just 2 short weeks. Thank you guys and good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.